Hey, this is Kurt from Bad Terms, and you are tuned in to the Rooster Show. All right.
The dirt from my eyes. I wanna rise above all the lies. Sink into the shadows of society. With my hand to the walls that enslave me. Feel the spring wind on my face. Break right out of this empty place. When the sky turns from black to blue. I'm true. When the wolf exiles me and you. I'm true. I'm standing on the ground. I'm clawing at the sky. Nothing lasts forever. Soon I'm gonna die. I'm a drop in an ocean of water. Days will get long, they grow shorter. Gonna finish what I've begun. Gotta grab it now before it's gone. When the sky turns from black to blue. I'm true. When the wolf exiles me and you. I'm true. When the sky turns from black to blue. I'm true. When the wolf exiles me and you. I'm true. I'm gonna wipe the blood from my face. Gonna outrun the rat race.
Hello, and thank you for choosing the Rooster Show. This is Rooster Jones. How you doing? More rock, more love. How you doing? Unity. That's what this is all about, man. More rock, less cock, and just talking about rock and roll, man. Good stuff, man. Cheers, salute. And today we have Mark. What's up? How you doing? Anti-heroes.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm spectacular, young man. Spectacular.
Excellent. What's going on? What's new and exciting?
Oh man, what's so new? Nothing really new. Just another great day, man. Just zealous.
Good. Very good.
Why not? You
A lot
know,
of good new music out here. I go walking every morning for about 7 to 10 miles, and it gives me an opportunity to listen to a lot of cool new bands. But there's an absolute plethora of good new music out there right now.
oh, there is definitely in oi and in punk.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in the dark wave music, I like that stuff too. You know, it has its little place in
Yeah.
my heart as well. Goth rock and all that. I love goth rock. I was a bad boy back in the day, buddy. I was a I was I was a mixed breed was what I considered myself. Like I grew up loving goth rock and early punk, and then it crossbreed into liking a lot of the skinhead fashion as well, and so it's like skin slash punk rocker slash goth rocker. It's like
Well, you got to have your wide open view on life, right?
yeah, dude, I just love it. I love underground music, man. I always have. I appreciate your contribution to punk rock and all that good stuff, man. I mean, do you consider yourself
It's
skin,
been definitely worthwhile.
or
What's that?
you consider yourself punk, skin? What do you
Oh,
kind of
I've
organize yourself
always been
as?
a anti-racist trad skin from way back when.
Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, cool, awesome. And still is, still alive, and still
Yeah, a
kicking
long time
ass,
ago,
taking
41
names.
years.
41
But it's been
days, huh?
fun. It's been really worthwhile. We've in the '90s when I used to run GMM Records, we put out about 100 plus records, and I used to say it was the most expensive party I've ever been to, but it was worth it.
That's awesome. So what got you into wanting to do music? What
Yeah,
started all this passion?
you know, as a as an older person, I'm 60 years old, so I'm
I'm
not reticent
53.
about, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not reticent about talking about, where we were definitely very reticent as young people. But as a young person, I had some really negative experiences that just drove me right into the punk world around, 1982
Okay.
ish, around that time. And kind of gravitated toward the English style punk, the Sham 69 and the Sex Pistols and the Clash and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then kind of moved out from there into subgenres of punk, like the UK 82 punk and the Oi that became known as street punk and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we got into it, or at least for me.
That's awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Are you like a musician as well? Like besides singing and all that, do you play instruments?
No, no, I don't. But I've produced a lot of records, and
Produce a
so
lot of. Okay.
I've written a lot of this stuff. So that's kind of my part of it. But no, I could not play a guitar to save my life.
You can, that's funny. That's awesome. Isn't that funny how that is? You could write like a badass song, but not pick up an instrument.
Right.
It's pretty awesome.
Well, thanks.
So what your feelings about? Okay, I mean your lyric writing. I mean, what inspires that right now?
Uh, each period of time in life that you're living life and writing music about it is
Yeah,
encapsulated in the stuff that you write. And so
right.
if you look at the five records that the Antiheroes did, the first two records were when we were kids basically in the 80s. And so we were writing about our life at that time. And then the second two records, American Pie and Underneath the Underground in the 90s were,
Oh,
we're
badass. Yeah, definitely a solid ass album right there.
thanks,
American
but
Pie.
we
So
were, we were men at the time, in our late 20s, early
yeah.
30s. And then years later, we came around and wrote Devil at My Heels in 2023 and 2024.
Oh,
And that kind of encapsulates where life is at right now. So each record is different. There's a lot of people that will say, I like this period of time or like that record or whatever. But a lot of them, they have a lot of common ground, although they're about different subjects.
yeah. Somebody asked me. It was basically a fan asking me to ask you about what's your Christian view on this album. There's a lot of
Oh,
Christianity. It seems
well,
involved.
yeah.
What's your viewpoint about that?
Well,
That's
specifically,
from
I think that there's always been, there's an old saying, you never talk about politics and religion,
of course, yeah.
but at the same time, sometimes you have to. And whether, we live in a secular country and whether people are atheists or Christians or Buddhist or whatever, they
Mhm.
have their personal beliefs that they usually, as part of their, America's bedrock was founded on freedom of speech, freedom of belief. And so there are some Christianity related themes in this record, Devil at My Heels. I mean, it's the perennial conflict between good and evil, which
Yeah,
is something that has gone on forever since the caveman era, whether people were aware of it or not. And so
yeah.
in this case, we put the antiheroes back together a couple of years ago with the objective of making a small contribution toward making things a little better because things sure have gone to shit. And so, in that regard, the term devil at my heels is an old term from my parents or my grandparents' generation, which means,
Yeah.
you're striving to live your life and the devil's at your heels constantly. And right now, the world has the devil at its heels. The we are on the cusp of possibly losing the freedom that America championed and created in the world. And so
Mm.
that's That's in the big picture of things, that's the meaning of that. It's,
Yeah,
I saw some
it's
comment.
frustrating, right? It's
Well,
frustrating.
it's sad to see. It's sad to
Yeah.
see so much unnecessary misery happening all around the world, but it's all intended to happen that way. And so, I've seen some negative comments online where people are like, "Oh, they found Jesus" or something like that. But that's nonsense. I think people in the many people in the punk world have had a sense of faith about them since
Yes,
punk started. Guys in the
of course.
Ramones did. The if you look at Warzone, their song Judgment Day, where I think I told you, while we were chatting before the interview,
Of
I
course.
we played with Warzone back in the '80s, and they did this big long New York hardcore intro to one of their songs, and then Ray he goes, "This song is called 'Fuck You, Satan,'" and they rocked it out, and so. If you look at it like Stigma, Keep the Faith, if you look at
Yep.
Madballs, Between Heaven and Hell, there has always been an undercurrent of faith, a variety of different types of faith in the punk scene, especially among the working class kind of, grittier punk bands, as opposed to kind of the art punk bands that personified the late 70s and early 80s. So yeah, there is an element of good versus evil, which is an element of faith in this new record, and I think it belongs there because right now is the time where the good side has to stand up and protect the world.
Okay. It's true. We do need to stand up, but have unity and a little more love and understanding, and getting away from ourselves. Sometimes. And I mean, just yeah, I agree. I totally agree. There's a lot of corruption, a lot of hurt going on, and bad naming you guys as well.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, and
if
that's so
you,
sad because you guys have been around forever, fighting for the scene, fighting for the cause, and it's
yeah, I
and
mean, we were talking about
to
this,
say that
we were
you're
talking
on
about
the
this
fence.
subject in practice.
It's,
Yeah, that's bullshit.
yeah,
But we were talking about this subject of practice a
I,
few
huh,
weeks ago, and we basically were saying that it's unfortunate that we live in an era where we have to write songs like this. I wouldn't want to live in an era where we had to write songs like what went on to Devil at My Heels, but it's a necessity. And so, if you really look at the big picture, I mean, like I just made a big picture statement about faith and about good versus evil and about basically the world hanging in the balance. If you really look at the big picture of what's happening right now in America, you know, put your thinking cap on and look at what's known as fifth generation warfare. And in order to understand that, you have to start with first generation warfare, which was sticks and stones, cavemen killing each other. Second
yep,
generation warfare was the use of hardened metal to make arrows, tips, and swords. Third generation warfare was gunpowder and firearms and artillery and infantry formations. Fourth generation warfare was the mechanized, kind of industrial scale warfare that you saw in the 20th century with machine guns and
yeah,
airplanes and
okay,
stuff like that. But fifth generation warfare is where an enemy subdues their opponent without firing a shot. And it's a multifaceted envelopment of a society with all sorts of negative things to demoralize a society, to deindustrialize a society, to take away all the things that made a society vibrant and strong in the first place. And that's what's happening in America right now. And if you look at that, the root of that is, and I'm talking in very broad terms, but at the same time, think about it. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, and the world oligarchy that America had become created to escape. Like the first Americans created the American Revolution, and they created America to escape the clutches of the European oligarchs,
okay,
whose money went back to like the Greco and Roman empires. And the world oligarchy put their money into America and started investing it and turning it into an already incredibly productive country. But Woodrow Wilson, the president at the time, was on his deathbed and he said, "I've sold my country out." And it's true. And then as the 20th century surged and went around in circles and created so much political instability, the 1970s was when the world oligarchy decided to shift their power and money to the Chinese Communist Party. And in doing so, they deindustrialized the entire West that had given the world the first true upward mobility for people, the first true stability and a middle class, the option and the ability for people to become successful. And they took all of that and shifted it to China with the objective of basically beating down the free societies and having a single entity that would basically rule the world with a communist Chinese model. And there's a lot of great books people can read about, but the one that really kind of encapsulates it best is this book. It's called The 100-Year Marathon. And the 100-Year Marathon is a Chinese Communist Party term that they use to discuss their plan from 1949 and the Chinese Communist Revolution to 2049. It's a 100-year marathon to control the world. And in doing so, in employing fifth generation warfare techniques of psychological warfare, economic warfare, biological warfare, the Chinese Communist Party authored a book about 30 years ago called Unrestricted Warfare. And it's basically, it says the premise of it is that we could never beat America in the battlefield. But what we'll do to beat America is we'll use asymmetric means of unrestricted warfare. We'll use the flooding of America with drugs and fentanyl. We'll use psychological warfare to demoralize our society. We'll use economic warfare to deindustrialize America so that by the time we ever got in a war with America, we would have no production capacity to build things. And that's where we're at right now. And it's like an envelopment. It's in every element of American society. It's in leadership positions in American universities. It's in both the Democrat and the Republican Party. I mean, there's no difference between someone like Mitch McConnell, whose wife is a Chinese spy, and Joe Biden, who his brother and his son are Chinese spies. I mean, there's no difference. The idea is to envelop a country and destroy it from the inside out. And so in doing so, they've put communist influence in many places in American society. And you had mentioned earlier this kind of denigration of the reputation of the anti-heroes. We pointed out that there's communist influence in numerous segments of American society, to include the communist funding of a lot of these astroturfed riots that have happened in America. And as soon as we put that out, we put out just a small little message about it on a social media platform, we got this crazy attack from communists all over Europe, and then some in America. And they pinpointed the anti-heroes and said, well, the anti-heroes are Nazis. The anti-heroes are fascists. And it's bullshit. It's a political attack. It's like Elon Musk pointed out that the communists that are working in some of the elements of different states like California and New York are taking billions and billions of dollars illegally through Medicare and Medicaid, and they immediately labeled him a Nazi. And they had all these AstroTurf demonstrations in front of Tesla dealerships, and they were calling it the swastika car and stuff like that. I mean, it's nonsense. I mean, the guy said the country's about to go bankrupt, and here's some places where they're wasting money, and their response was, well, he's a Nazi. And we pointed out that that these demonstrations are funded by communism and are largely orchestrated. They're like a political theater. And then they said, you're a Nazi. And the reality of the matter is in the 1980s, when there were actual real Nazis in the music scene, we were the ones who got the scars fighting those guys. So the communists effectively are saying that the guys who fought the Nazis in the 1980s are Nazis. I mean, it's absurd. If you look at the discography of the anti-heroes records
It was sad.
that were written
Yeah,
in the 1980s, I mean, there are like, let me look. There's like the song "Some Fun." It was written in
yeah.
1986, and there's a line in it that says, "Another Nazi coming around. Let's run him out of town. Some fun." And then in the song "National Debt," it says, "I'm an American, proud and free. I'm an American. I believe in equality. Don't tell me what to do or what to be. I'm an American. Don't tread on me." Or there were
Yeah. Okay.
songs
Yeah.
like Gone with the Wind that were a satire of the redneck culture in Georgia. There were songs like All Hail Santa, which were a satire of the Nazis that were in the music scene.
Hmm.
We went out of our way to throw shit at those dudes, and they went out of their way to throw shit at us. And
Yeah.
that's just the fact. And so the allegations that have been made are just absurd. They're on their face, they're absurd. And so yeah, we just basically laughed it off, but they went out of their way. We recorded this new record, Devil at My Heels, and we were in Europe on tour, and we played in Hamburg, and there was a band that we played with that I'd never seen or heard of before. But backstage, they told one of the guys in our band that the Templars were Nazis, and
What the hell?
we're like, what? That's bullshit, and then that day, when you go on tour, you have like six shirts in your bag. So I was just grabbed another shirt, I put their shirt on, and it said FJB, or no, it said Let's Go Brandon, and
Okay.
my mother-in-law gave me that shirt, but whatever. I mean, who cares? From my perspective, but from their perspective, they were like, well, if you're wearing that shirt, then you're a Nazi. And so they went out of their way to try and cancel our show the next night. We had a sold out show in Berlin. They tried to cancel that and they were unsuccessful. They tried to cancel our sold out show in Barcelona and they were unsuccessful. They tried to cancel a bunch of other shows that we had in the States. But then when we went into the studio to record Devil at My Heels, they called the studio owner. It was in Spain that we went to record the record. And they called the studio owner and they said, if you record these guys, you're going to end up with a knife in your back. And he was like really scared and wigged out. And he said, I'm sorry, I can't finish this record. So we went back to the States to finish it. And they called the studio that we'd scheduled to finish the record and got us canceled. They called every place that we had a show planned and got us canceled. I mean, it's absurd. And
Damn.
but at any rate, we went ahead and did the record.
What were
And
they calling you guys? Just Nazis and this
yeah,
and that?
yeah.
These guys are Nazis, and
They
you're
were
gonna
doing
have a
they were
Nazi playing there, and
they were
they
also
cancel you.
threatening. They were also threatening specific individuals, like if you put this show on, you're finished, stuff like that. And it was a group of communists from Hamburg, Germany, from Glasgow, Scotland, and from Barcelona, Spain, and then
Hmm.
some people in the States. But at any rate, it's bullshit, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. All right.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's kind of laughable, actually. I mean, it's absurd. I mean,
I got another laughable thing about being in American History X.
yeah, yeah.
What,
What a stupid
tell
movie.
me about that if you don't mind. 'Cause
Sure.
I
So
briefly heard the story.
So yeah, the it's a funny story. In the '90s, the we had just put the American Pie record out, and it was doing really well. And New Line Cinemas, which at the time was the largest movie company in America, they called Tang Records and said, can we use some artwork like the logo and some music from the anti-heroes in this movie, American History X. And we said no, absolutely no. We don't want to have anything to do with that at all. And they did it anyway. So
Hmm.
we sued them. and we had an out of court settlement, and they lost basically, and they had to go and take our logo out of the movie. They had to take the movie offline for a little while, remove the logo from one of the actors. Like the biggest retard in the movie had our logo tattooed on his arm.
No way.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
so we sued them and won, and they had to, correct the error that they made. But yeah, just I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine about this. There's never been a Hollywood movie that covers this subject properly, or even a European movie. There just hasn't. It always, they always try and concentrate on the so-called Nazi element and stuff like that. I mean, it's stupid, and it's not in keeping with reality.
That's funny. I love that movie though. It's a good one, man. Bite the
Yeah.
curb.
What's that?
Bite the curb. When he's
I
telling him
mean,
about, oh, that was so brutal, man.
that
That
like
movie.
this movie Oxblood. I mean, this band Oxblood. You have an Oxblood shirt on. That's a great band. And there's people, the same people in Spain
People.
that were calling the anti-heroes Nazis were calling Oxblood Nazis. I mean, it's just stupid. It's like
Yeah, supposedly the other rumor was that Oxblood's on a label that has kind of is on the fence. The label that is, I guess they have some skinheads on there that are boneheads, and there's those that are like Oxblood that don't believe in that,
I don't
and
know
stuff
anything
like.
about that,
But I
but
don't know for a fact either. I haven't had a chance to ask Paulie yet.
yeah, I mean,
So,
I know for a fact that Oxblood are not Nazis. They're good dudes,
oh,
and
they're great dudes. I love
and
them.
and and to denigrate them in that way is just like what they did with the antiheroes. It's not in keeping with reality. I mean,
Yeah.
the antiheroes have always been like an authentic American, working class oi band.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a union member for 38 years. Our guitar player is an Army veteran and a union member. Our bass player is a union carpenter. Our other guitar player is a car mechanic. You know, we have our perspective, and if it doesn't align with the communist perspective, they want to be able to say, "Well, you're a Nazi." But the fact is, our parents, I mean, our grandparents fought the Nazis in World War II, and well, like we have an old Japanese rifle that my uncle brought back from Okinawa in the house. That was there when we
Ooh.
grew up. We had some German memorabilia that my dad's brother brought back from Europe, and that was for as kids growing up. We always grew up right knowing that the fascism was a really bad idea. And then
Yeah, yeah, it
our
was a
fathers
great. No.
our fathers went and fought communism in the Korean War and
Yep.
in Vietnam, and
Yep.
we learned that communism wasn't a very good idea either. And so, in that perspective, we've always been anti-fascist, we've always been anti-communist, and the communists can't stand that. They think that they own the music scene, and they're wrong. I mean, it's just there's no difference between communism and fascism except for the symbology. The end result is always the same. It's two sides of the same tarnished coin. But we wrote a song about these guys before this controversy got going, and let me read you the lyrics. So on the new, on these records are all different, but they're usually, there's usually some serious stuff. There's usually some funny stuff. That's something that you see in a lot of these anti-heroes records. But we made fun of these guys who were calling the Templars and us Nazis. And since they were from Germany, we called the song Das Ballad von David Hasselhoff
I was
because
just listening to that.
yeah, because
I'm not even
David
lying.
Hasselhoff is like this absurd American actor who's a
Yeah.
huge rock star in Germany. He's like giant rock star. So the song goes, "Our grandpappies fought the Nazis. Your granddaddies were the Nazis. We fought the neo-Nazis before Sharp existed, before the red pricks came from their daddy's dick." And then the chorus goes, "No one gives a shit. about the red pricks. There is no difference between a Nazi and a communist. And then it says, dumb guys with smartphones, test tube baby oi clones. Chris has got Down syndrome and an extra chromosome. There's a lot of fa in today's Antifa. You're online, not on the street. In person, you didn't say shit. And then the chorus. And then the last verse says, no one gives a shit about the red pricks. They call us in the Templars fascist. They're total idiots. And then it says, your sense of humor is just like your Fuhrer. Your beer is flat. Your kraut is sour. I'd rather have a Hamburg in Trump Tower. You're calling everyone Nazi scum when fascist is what you've become. And that's it. So at any rate,
Wow.
it's a funny song meant to be satire of a bunch of fucking politico idiots. You know, I mean,
Yep.
these people, they instead of getting into life and doing something good with their life, they want to get into everybody else's life, you know, and control everyone else's life. They want to have worldwide communism. You know, no, thank you. And that's and anybody who disagrees with them, they label them a Nazi. Like Elon Musk points out that they're running off with billions and billions of dollars, and they are like, he's a fascist. You know, we need to burn down his car dealerships. I mean, it's crazy. You know, I mean, the era we're living
So
in,
much.
yeah, I mean, the era we're living in now is so much worse than it was 30 years ago. You know, it's
Yep.
spectacular. You know, I remember I was at a punk show in Atlanta years ago, and there was this band called Freddie Vomit and Teens in Heat. And they were hilarious. They were just like punk dudes. They were all over the place. And
That's awesome.
Freddie was always drunk, and he comes staggering past us, and he goes, hey man, he goes, so what if I butt fuck Luigi? And we're like, so what? Who cares? You know, your
Yeah,
life is
whatever.
yours. Go have a great day. You know, I mean, and but today everything is like, oh, you know, if we disagree with you, we're gonna label you something that you're not. And that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, even if you have
it's just
nothing to do
BS.
with this, yeah, nothing to do with it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
nothing to do with these fools. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You know, it's like don't I don't like being classified like that. I get classified all the time, and it's so funny. It's like I'm doing band interviews with people in Mexico and in Turkey and Romania and I have people in Russia and I have people all over the damn place.
That's
Last night
cool.
I had Australia here, convict class. You
That
know, I
sounds
mean,
cool.
yeah, I mean it's wonderful. It's awesome. World unity. That's what I'm trying for, man. You know what I'm saying? In my own little way that if I could
Sure.
do. You know what I mean?
And
And
and, and
that's
music
why I
culture is
appreciate you participating, by the way. Thank you again.
yeah. We appreciate your having us. You know, music culture is very important, and what we're living in now is this kind of rush toward tyranny, in which they'll try to shut down culture and control it. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what the Nazis did. It's exactly what the communists did, and they're trying to do that in the world now. You know, like they've censored all of our music. You know, this new record, Devil at My Heels, is clearly a very anti-establishment record, and within a week of it coming out, Sony Music, which had distributed the Anti-Heroes for decades, dropped it. And we put out a bunch of videos for these songs, and they've all been shadow banned. One of the videos we put out got 400,000 views in 24 hours, and then they shut it
Damn.
off. And if you go online to theantiheroes.org, you should be able to see all of our stuff. But it's like a blocked site, you
Yeah,
know?
I could get on it.
Yeah,
I tried 3 times
yeah,
and it would not go to it.
yep. And that's the world we're living in now, where
Hmm.
they're really trying to clamp down on the whole planet.
It's
It's
sad.
yeah, it is. It's very,
Even
very
having your time in service, that doesn't even count.
right.
You know, it doesn't. You
You know,
being a veteran in this scene, you know, it's like you've been there, done that, and, you know, and here you are getting the one being spit at and
well, that's
shamed,
exactly right. I mean,
ridiculed.
we were able to take I think the Anti-Heroes were the first American Oi band, and we were able to take that underground music from cassette tapes, that we would sell at shows and stuff like that, to Best Buy and to iTunes, and then we were really, we got the Anti-Heroes on regular rotation on MTV and on satellite radio and stuff like that. We were really able to take this music out of the underground, we called it underneath the underground, into the forefront. And then when the political climate changes, they were like, oh, well, now you can't exist. You can say whatever you want, but no one can hear it. It's bullshit.
It's if you don't definitely believe or have the same viewpoint as political parties and this and that, it's like your view does not count,
Yeah.
no
Or you're
matter
not even
what.
allowed to have it.
Yeah, I mean, if you speak in their honor, it's fine. But if you don't, then we'll block you and this and that. And
Right.
yeah, it's
The
kind of sad.
I'm a big history guy,
Yeah,
there's a lot to be said for the fact that the Enlightenment in Europe is what grew into the philosophies that grew into freedom that became America. And I'm a big believer in the American Revolution and the principles that we put together to make this a great country, to
yeah,
where people were no longer slaves. And there's a line in one of the songs on the new record called Make the World Great Again. And it says
yeah,
1776, not 1984. Then we had visionaries. Now our leaders are whores. When kings ruled, everyone was a slave. Don't let the rich take us back to those days. And that's where we're going. They are
yeah,
taking this world where we grew into, where we grew up believing in freedom. They're taking it backwards,
yep. They
and
are.
that's it's
I
a now or
have to
never
agree
kind of
with
thing.
that. I can't even deny that one bit. I'd be a fool if I. Okie
Hello,
dokie.
what's happening?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and have you talk about the first two verses of Devil at the Heels.
Okay, well, in in 1985, 1986, 1987 were kind of like the peak years, the best years for the American OA scene, and things were going really well, and
Okay.
we put out the That's Right record in 1987, and then we put out Don't Tread on Me in 1988, and around 1988, the you started to see the kind of infiltration in the Oi scene of a lot of negative elements
Hmm.
who sought to recruit people that they thought were in tough situations for the neo-Nazi movement. And you saw people like Tom Metzger and the American Front and all this stuff, and they would literally come down and try and recruit people. And we were opposed to that for obvious reasons. And our first guitar player, who's a fantastic guy, he was Jewish, and a lot of these people had a real problem with that. And we had a number of situations where we were assaulted by these idiots because our guitar player was Jewish, and and a lot of those situations didn't end up so great. I mean, some really unpleasant uh, experiences in our lives where some of these street fights with a bunch of guys that were popping steroids and going to the gym every day, and they were like 700 feet tall. That I mean, pretty awful. And like our first guitar player got assaulted by this dude who just walked up to him in the parking lot and said, you're a dirty Jew, and punched him in the face. And they went rolling down a hill behind this punk rock club and onto a set of railroad tracks. And I went running down there to help him. And this guy was like, he was like 6'3", a huge dude, and he was on top of our guitar player, just pounding his face in. And I jumped down there and I kicked the guy in the head like 3 times. Nothing happened. And so I kicked him in the throat, and he started going like, ah! And I grabbed him off of our guitar player and chased him down the street. And I came back there, and our guitar player had to go to the hospital with major injuries. And it was just like the beginning. And so in the beginning, they actually came and tried to recruit us. And one of these recruiters said, "Well, you guys got that really cool logo, and you're all smart." And he goes, "So we're going to have you guys be the leaders." And we said, "Fuck you." And that's not going to happen. And the song "You'll Never Put Us Down" off of our Election Day 7-inch that
Okay.
we recorded that in July of 1989 before we broke up the first time, is about that. And but at any rate, the next weekend after we said, "No, we're not going to be part of your retard convention, you guys can go shove that up your ass," they had their first big like neo-Nazi meeting, and they pretty much put us on the target list. And there was a bunch of really bad stuff. But the first two verses of "Devil at My Heels" are that you asked about. The
Yeah.
the first verse goes, "They called me up on the phone. 'What's up, Noah? Are you at home?' I said, 'Yes.' 'What you gonna do?' They said, 'We're coming to your house. We're gonna fucking kill you.' And that happened. And I said, 'You do what you think is best. Come to my house. Wear a bulletproof vest.' And so the first two verses of the song are structured to kind of show resistance and defiance against tyranny, basically.
Hmm.
The second verse, and then the chorus goes, "Devil at my heels, I will never yield." And the second verse goes, "Marietta Street, under a dim street light, an Impala pulls up out of the night." Let me just see what the rest of it says. It goes, "An Impala pulls up out of the night. Wearing black ski masks and brass knuckle entrenching knives, they jumped out of the car. We were fighting for our lives. Fight to win, I'm not gonna die. Friends thanked us later, but I don't know why." And so right around that same time, we were outside of one of the venues in Atlanta that we played at, and there was probably like 6 or 7 of us, and this car pulls up, and it was during the era where Screwdriver had just written their "All Hail" something, some stupid record, but they were all dressed in black. And
Okay.
the Boneheads used to start all dressing in black, and they had long sleeve black shirts on, like the German, Nazis in the 30s, and they had gloves on, and they had ski masks on, and these dudes jumped out of the car and attacked us with brass knuckles with a 12-inch fighting blade on it. It's called a World War I trench knife. And, we didn't have any weapon at all. And like our guitar player was swinging at them with a orange, road cone that he picked up from right next to the road where we were standing. This huge fight started out, and they cut one of our friend's liver in half.
Ooh.
And they gouged someone else's eye out. It wasn't like some street fight. It was attempted murder. And
Yeah.
fortunately, one of the guys in our crew was a U.S. Army Special Forces medic, and he stitched this guy up, and I helped to hold him together while he put his guts back in him and tied it all up and everything like that. And then I woke up in the hospital, and I was shocked. I was like, because I was covered in blood, just completely covered in blood. And the line in there says, "Friends thanked us later, but I don't know why." Because like 2 months later, the guys that were almost killed came over, knocked on the door at our house, and at night, and I opened the door, and they said, "Hey, we just want to say thanks a lot." And I said, "Sure, anytime." And I said, "Y'all want to come in?" And they said no. And they just turned around and left. I never saw them again.
Hmm.
And I don't remember what they were thanking me for. But at any rate, that's what the first two verses of Devil at My Heels are about, and those are
Huh.
specifically related to this horrible gang war that happened all over America with, regular punks and skins versus the Nazis in the late 80s. I mean, it happened in almost every city around America. And that was just one little piece of ours in Atlanta. But yeah,
Yeah.
friends thanked us later, and I don't know why. And I don't know why even today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, brothers, man. Brothers supposed to stand up for each other anyway. So it's like, really,
Yeah.
why thank
I
you?
mean,
I
sometimes that's
mean,
all you can do. You don't have any options.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways, well, it's good for you. For what you don't know what you did.
But I mean, I'm sure that my brain just
Um,
kind of flushed it all out. Didn't want to
I'm
know.
sure it did.
So, but at any rate, I mean, there's a lot to the anti-heroes more than just this kind of
Well,
false accusation that's been made.
yeah.
We I was at a show that we did recently in New Jersey, and this young Latina girl comes up to me and she said, "Hey, I always wanted to meet you guys and say thanks." And I said, "Sure, absolutely." And she goes, "When I was 12 years old, my mom was killed in a drug deal gone wrong, and I was parentless and homeless." And she
Wow.
goes, she goes, "I really fell down into the bad side of the world." And she goes, "The songs you guys wrote helped pull me back out." And she said, "Thanks a lot." I said, "You betcha."
There you go.
Yep.
That's
So
what that's what it's all about right
yeah, I
there.
mean, there's a
Even if
lot
it's
to the
even if it's
anti-heroes
just
that's
one,
that's so much more important than this kind of
Yeah.
false, political BS. I mean, how about the song "The Tradition"? It says, "Born and raised from immigrant blood, made a hardworking man out of me. The code I live my life by is one of honor and honesty. What I learned was passed down from the ghosts of my family, lessons learned long before they came from across the sea." And then the chorus goes, "Friendship and struggle, courage and battle, wisdom and rage, honor and labor, piety and love, knowledge is sage." And then the second verse goes, "Sacrifice doesn't always have a reward. Courage ain't something you can't afford. Pittsburgh steel in my father's eye gave me the will to win and the guts to try. He showed no weakness, not even a trace. He broke his fist on my face. Went from US Steel to MIT. I cherish what my parents taught to me." And then the chorus. And then the third verse goes, "When I'm older, I'll raise a family. I'll give them the substance that tempered me. They taught me the meaning of being the best I can, raised me to be a true American." So
Ah,
there's a lot more than just all this bullshit that these guys are out chattering away on their keyboards about. I mean, because none of what they're saying is true. There's a lot of real impactful content that we created. And there's some childish stuff that we created too, but
of course.
that's not atypical for punk music. But at the same time, there it is. I mean, there's a lot to be, there's a lot of substance there, and we're proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You created something, it became it became a phenomena. It really did. I mean, you guys are like, pretty well loved, well loved
Well,
by a lot of
you know,
people that
I
not
wouldn't
only
say that
me, but
we're
like, so what happened real quick then? I need to say, what happened with that post that was made that kind of got people over the top about
well. That was that was a
the
post.
paid people,
Yeah. I mean, I put a post up on our social media platform basically saying that the riots that have been happening in America and in Europe in the last 5 years have been largely astroturfed political orchestrations that have been paid for by the American Communist Party. I mean, and it's very clear. There's mountains of evidence that show, like the American Communist Party USA, Bob Avakian, the Tides Foundation. All these different organizations have put hundreds of millions of dollars into creating an astroturfed kind of revolution in America because that's what they want. And And so I put that post up there, and immediately the communists responded, and their response was, "Well, if you're going to say that this so-called revolution is fake, which it is," they responded and said, "You're a Nazi." Fuck you guys.
Yeah, that's
You're
that's
wrong.
messed up. That's
I mean,
that's
it's
horrible.
such bullshit. That's all I can say. It's fuck those guys.
Yeah, I know Violent Disorder, I think it was, that said, yeah, don't come to L.A. or New York or something like that.
I mean, I've
Don't you
never
dare
even
come
heard
to these
I've
towns.
never even heard of those guys. And
Yeah,
the last time we played in LA, there were 700 people there.
yeah,
And the vast majority of them were Latino, and they don't think we're racist, and they like songs like The Tradition that I just said, where I said, "Born and raised from immigrant blood made a hardworking man out of me."
yeah, exactly.
That message resonates all over America in every ethnicity.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, there's people on the internet, they've got shit to talk about, and who cares? You know, I mean, anybody, it's like what we put in the song, The Ballad of David Hasselhoff, dumb guys with smartphones, test tube baby oi clones. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't fucking care what those people think. And I've never even heard of them before.
yeah.
Whatever.
Oh well.
Yep. You
Oh
guys have
well.
a great day.
Yeah, yeah. Have a good one. Yeah, now
I
come
mean, I
again.
mean, I mean,
Come
it's
again
it's
next
really
week for
clear.
your shot of morphine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
When you look at
whatever.
the big picture of stuff, it is really clear what's
Crackheads.
happening. I mean, there is an unholy um, merger between communism and radical Islam. That's what's happening, and they seek to use that to overturn all the governments in the West. That's what they used when they overthrew the Shah in Iran. The communists uh, connected with the radical Islamic terrorists, I mean, clerics like Ayatollah Khomeini, and they took over Iran. And as soon as they took over Iran, the clerics, the Islamic clerics, killed all the communists. I mean, there's a term that Joseph Stalin used to describe the allies that they created in the West, and it's called a useful idiot. And his idea was to use the useful idiots in the West to overturn the West, and then they're disposable. They're the first to go in front of the firing squad.
Yeah. Wow.
But hey, no one gives a shit about the red pricks. There is no difference between a Nazi and a communist.
Yeah, there isn't.
There isn't. I mean, this
There isn't.
it's all government at the point of the barrel of a gun.
Yeah.
You
Pretty
know,
sad.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty
When
sad.
in the early days
That's
of the Atlanta punk scene, the communists and the Nazis would come down to the punk scene trying to recruit people. And there was this guy named Commie Rick, and he was just a scumbag. But he was down there trying to recruit people, and he was like, "Hey, man, you see all those houses out there?" He goes, when we take over, we're gonna kill everyone in those houses, and those houses are gonna be ours." And I said, "You mean like you're gonna kill my parents because they have a house?" And he goes, "Not your parents, bro. We're gonna kill everybody else."
oh
I mean, that's
God.
what they think. I mean, those people think you can own a toothbrush, but you can't own a house.
Damn.
I mean, like we talked about reading, this book that I brought up here for the interview, the
Yeah.
100-Year Marathon, is an excellent book. It's a blueprint on how the Chinese Communist Party seeks to rule the world. But if you want to read some real history, this book, The Black Book of Communism, was published by the Harvard University Press before Harvard was essentially taken over by communists. And this is like a 650-page book that documents how in the 20th century, in 100 years of the 20th century, communism killed 100 million people. Worse than Hitler, by far. You know,
It's not
when
a good number, man.
no, when I was a young person, I lived in the Soviet Union in the 1970s for 4 years. My dad worked in one of the three-letter agencies, and we lived in Moscow for 4 years in the 70s. And we lived in Beijing, China for 4 years in the early 80s when I was in college. I got to
Oh,
meet a ton of wonderful Chinese people and make friends who were Chinese students. And then in June of 1989, they killed them all at the Tiananmen Square massacre.
son of
And
a bitch.
with the today with the fifth generation warfare that's going on, if you go and Google search Tiananmen Square massacre, you get modern day pictures of what Tiananmen looks like. No massacre. That's
Wow.
how censored our own media is. When we put out this new Antiheroes record, in the 80s, I wrote a song called Dignity about my Chinese student friends before they
Okay.
were killed, and about this university professor that I met over there who had
Okay.
been beaten almost to death by the Red Guard Chinese Maoists because he was a Western educated intellectual, and we wrote that song about them before the massacre. But in doing this record recently, now that we're older and more reflective, I wrote this song called "Bury My Heart at Tiananmen" about my friends who were murdered by the Chinese Communist Party. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's probably a too long song. there's there's so much there's so much content to put in there. But this is one of the reasons why this record was completely censored, because you're not allowed to talk about the truth related to what the Chinese Communist Party has done to their own people. But, but as a young person, it was wonderful to be able to meet a lot of the Chinese students and to see their thirst for freedom. And I went to some of the original democracy demonstrations before the Tiananmen Square massacre. For example, in January of 1987, I went to the Beijing Central Fine Arts Academy, where they had a huge demonstration with them and the students from Beijing University. There were about 10,000 people there, and
Wow.
a riot broke out. The Chinese started shooting into the crowd, and or the police did, and and it was really pretty cool. The Chinese students had improvised a small first aid station inside of one of the dormitories, and because a bunch of people got injured, and they were helping them so that they wouldn't have to go to the hospital and get treated, because then they get arrested. And so at any rate, it was fun exchanging information and ideas about society as a young person with them. And in the chorus of the song "Bury My Heart at Tiananmen," I wrote, "We read Sun Yat sen and Alexander Hamilton and Martin Luther King in Beijing. We read John Locke, Lao Tzu, Thomas Jefferson, and Confucius in Beijing. Bury my heart at Tiananmen, where the CCP killed my Chinese student friends." But at any rate, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of content to the anti-heroes that's above and beyond this kind of nonsensical political stuff that's online. But that chorus alone proves the nonsensical political stuff to be absurd.
Yeah, it
So
does.
so at any rate, yeah, we're making a video. We're making a video of this song "Bury My Heart at Tiananmen," but all of our other videos have been disappeared by YouTube, and you can't even find them on Google. I mean, it's crazy. If
It
you type
is.
in
I was
anti-heroes,
type. Yeah, I typed it
Taylor
in.
Swift pops up.
Yes, she did.
Fucking absurd.
Oh my God. I mean, they couldn't put a better face, could they? For mockery,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Anyway,
She is a
that's so funny.
jackass. But
So,
but
what can we expect? Okay, let's go on a brighter note. What can
okay.
we expect of anti-heroes
Well, we're
as
doing
of as of now? There are new work album in the works, or hey,
uh,
will be music
we're doing
videos coming up, or
we're doing two
anything?
more shows in December in Asheville and in Eastern Pennsylvania, and then we're working on a new single that we're going to do,
Yeah.
and and we're doing videos for almost all the new songs. And so the videos are really cool, but they're hard to find. If you want to find them now that they've been censored so heavily, you go to the Rumble platform and type in Antiheroes. You have to
Okay.
go to Rumble because that's the only platform that it's left on.
They left you with Rumble.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
interesting.
Rumble will keep it up there, but the rest not so much.
You know what's so funny is I've never even heard of Rumble.
Wow. Well, I mean,
I'm really deprived.
if you look at how completely censored America has become,
Yeah.
you look for uncensored platforms and you find Rumble immediately because it's
Oh,
like
wonderful.
it's one of the only uncensored platforms that still has original
Yeah.
content.
Damn. And here. And here on my show.
Well, let's see how fast this episode gets banned off of YouTube.
Uh, I'm not gonna put your name on it at all,
Well,
man.
there you go.
I know
But
the tricks of the trade.
it's
I'm joking.
it's a worthwhile endeavor. You know, we love the music and love the live element of it. You know, we love to play
Of
live
course.
and reach out and connect with a lot of people like the girl I told you about that came up and told us about her experience and
Yeah,
losing her
yeah.
mom and stuff like that. So it's been very worthwhile. And we've really enjoyed meeting so many nice people all over the world, and we're not going to stop that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
That's right.
right, man. I hope not.
That's
Punk's
right.
not dead, man. Punk's not dead.
Yeah.
So
Nope, I don't think so. But at any rate,
I don't think so either.
the new video for this song about the Tiananmen Square massacre should be pretty cool, and I'll
Okay.
send you a link to it when it's completed, and hopefully it'll last on online for more than a day or two.
Hopefully. I'm hoping the best for you guys.
Well, thanks.
Seriously, hopefully all this childish crap will just wither away and
I think it has already.
yeah, good. And just move on, and move on, move truck forward and you know what I mean?
I do.
And as good things gonna happen, good things are gonna happen, and I think already in play. And yeah, I mean, I really love this America. I do. I'm a patriotic person. I'm
Yeah.
a third generation Marine, and
Nice.
my dad was a Marine, my brother was a Marine, and I was a Marine, and
Nice.
my grandpa was in the Navy.
Cool.
So yeah, so I have a true love for my country.
Well,
I
good for
take it
you. I
I take
appreciate
it
it.
personal. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the video that we did for the song called "Find the Fallen"?
No, I can't say I did.
You gotta get the link to it and watch it because it's about the recovery of Marines on the Pacific island of Tarawa.
Ooh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to check that out right away
I started a
before it gets
nonprofit
banned.
organization about 22 years ago that recovered more than 300 deceased Marines on the missing island of Tarawa.
Wow,
Yeah.
damn,
So yeah,
that's awesome.
check the video out. I'll send you a link.
Sounds good, brother.
If you post it
Sounds
on your
awesome.
site, maybe then it'll not be shadow banned anymore.
Maybe,
Yeah, because
maybe.
it's amazing. YouTube is so uh, you know is so sophisticated that that song "Find the Fallen" the video came out and it was out for maybe like 2 days and it got 1,000 views, and then for the next year it got no views.
Hmm.
So they basically have made all the anti-heroes videos just disappear.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is so weird. Hey, if you send me a MP4 of it, to my email,
I
I
will.
can be able to just download it myself. Upload it myself from my own computer. It'll allow
Okay.
me to put it on my channel.
Yeah, I
So,
will definitely do that.
all right, sounds
Cool.
good, buddy.
Well,
Well,
thanks for
much
having
love,
us.
definitely, man. Yeah, much love and respect, and I appreciate it again what you guys do, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep it
Very good. Well,
real.
thanks a lot.
All right, much
Cheers.
love. Cheers. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
gift. What a tremendous opportunity. We're just so lucky. We have to use it with every ounce of intelligence and courage and wherewithal we have. COVID is God's gift to the left.
Und zwar Part 2. Fuck Hollywood, we're so bored as years. Made a funny movie in 40 years. Fuck Mike Moore, that commie blimp. Fuck him, seen the pedo pimp. Throw that shit in your hero's face. Spray one scene with a can of mace. Fuck Foley, the lion buffoon. You don't leave a song then. Fuck you. Fuck Hollywood. Fuck Hollywood. Fuck Hollywood. Timmy. Fuck Hollywood and the actors' opinions. Treat their viewers like pro minions. Fuck Bill Cosby, the racist rapist. Fuck Jim Carrey, the $1 million socialist. Fuck the Twitch on Twitter. Post paper us on the shitter. Fuck the people who don't like Dave